Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thanks everyone for joining the session. I know we're not the last one, but next to last one, so we'll try to bring some value to the end of your day. In today's world, it's more important than ever that your data and analytics platform can provide the value and efficiencies needed to drive and accelerate your AI strategy. What are some of the challenges organizations are facing? What are the decisions being made, the technology, the processes that they're leveraging to overcome the barriers to success? My name is Bryce Jaggers. I'm from Avanade. I'm the head of technology. That's what this session is about. It is my honor and privilege to be co-presenting with Tushan Vichasinghe and Avanesh Gupta from the Gates Foundation, who are going to share with us their journey in the data transformation, partnering with Avanade and Databricks. Full disclosure, my portion of the presentation will be like speed dating. We have a booth downstairs. I want to give plenty of time to the real stars of the session, which is the Gates Foundation, because that's what we're here for. We're here to learn more about their challenges and their transformation journey so that you can leverage it in your journey. So I'll just take a minute to tell you a little bit more about Avanade. I think we are probably the world's best kept technology secret. We're a joint venture formed by Accenture and Microsoft over 25 years ago. We have over 5,000, we've helped over 5,000 clients of various sizes. We've got 68 most valuable professionals. We have over 60,000 Microsoft certifications, and we've won Microsoft Global Partner of the Year 19 times. Just to double click a little bit in our data and AI expertise, just the two numbers I want to highlight. We've delivered over 2,000 AI and machine learning projects globally, and we have won over 90 plus Microsoft Partner of the Year awards. I was at a client dinner last night with Microsoft and Databricks, and I had a client come up and say, Bryce, Microsoft keeps saying, go see Avanade about Databricks. Why should I use Avanade about Databricks? Why should I use Avanade for Databricks? And I think this slide says it all. I told her, because we eat, breathe, and sleep Databricks. It's everything we do. We've delivered over 1,000 plus projects. We've helped over 300 plus clients. We have 140 champions, 1,600 certified consultants, and over 6,000 practitioners. And I'm proud to say, as you heard earlier this week, we just won the Databricks Global Partner of the Year this year, and it's the 7th time in a row we've won it. And the fun fact is, we were actually the very first SI partner for Databricks. So we're really excited about that and those accomplishments. And then what does that bring to you if you're looking for your journey around the data transformation with Databricks? We bring the ecosystem, the knowledge, the connective tissue back to Databricks through the engineering. We're a part of the Partner Advisory Board. We're also members of the Databricks Technical Council. We do joint initiatives with Databricks, such as Cal Poly. I was out there a couple of weeks ago with BJ from Databricks, and we were judging the Cal Poly hackathon. And it certainly was impressive to see how quickly the students got up to speed on the technology, the platform, the AI, and really how to leverage that in the hackathon. It was quite impressive. So how can Avanade and Databricks be core to your AI strategy? I think in a nutshell, it's important to know that you want to partner with somebody who's got the assets, the IP, the accelerators to help you accelerate your data transformation journey. You certainly want to have somebody who's got the expertise in the industry, who's been there, done that, who can provide the scale and innovation that's needed to help your foundation grow. That's what we bring to the table. I'm really proud of that. Certainly in your journey, you want to choose a partner that's reputable and has the credentials in the space, because there's a lot riding on your journey, and you certainly don't want to have to take a step back and restart. So these are just some of the other clients that we've worked with. The Page Group, very interesting situation, a mid-market example of the clients, as I mentioned earlier. They wanted a data platform that consolidated their various data platforms and provide the governance over that. And same with Kiwa Kirin. They had very disparate data approaches and unstructured and structured data, and they asked Avanade and Databricks to come in and help them with those situations, and that's exactly what we did. I think what, lastly, I want to talk about, Avanade and the Gates Foundation, the work we're doing there. We've got analytics and insights tower that we're working with. We have knowledge management tower we're working with the Gates Foundation on, data engineering. We have data infrastructure, health data platform. So we've got a very end-to-end program that we're working with the Gates Foundation on and really helping to contribute to their success. So with that, I'll turn it over to Tushan and Avinash to kind of step up and walk us through their journey.
So in the next few slides, we'll actually walk through what we've been doing, both from like a data strategy perspective and also from a platform capability, and how it actually helps the foundation's mission. So we'll start with a little bit of the background of the foundation. We'll talk about some of the data challenges we've faced and how the enterprise data platform, this is the more centralized data platform that we're building, and how that's actually going to take us through the journey. So we'll start with a little bit of what the Gates Foundation is, for those of you who are not too familiar. So the foundation started with the vision of really looking at some of the underprivileged folks and giving them an equal opportunity to be successful in life. That's the core premise that Bill, Melinda, and Gates Sr. started the foundation 25 years ago. Our work actually spans the global, and we work with different partners. And again, the focus is to give everyone a full potential to live. That's the core focus of what the foundation does around the world. This is a little bit of the geographic distribution. So we are headquartered in Seattle, where we are based out of. We've got a global presence, a little bit in Washington, D.C., and then several offices in African region, and also in India, and a little bit in Europe. So it shows our global footprint, and around these areas, we work with several partners. This is a distribution of how the foundation spends and what is the annual spend. So these numbers are from 2023, and you will see that it's close to $8 billion. And these are grants, these are not loans. And the A to E that you see here is the 6 divisions of the foundation, and you see bulk of the money is spent across those divisions. And this number will go up to $9 billion from the time we get to 2026. And this is talking about what the foundation does. So we create market incentives. Sometimes if a drug maker doesn't want to really actually produce at a low cost, we'll actually make that incentive so that that drug is available to a low-income country at a lower cost. We actually work with innovation, and we work with collaboration. And then what this does is it generates a lot of data, both from like global health studies, plus also our work itself will generate data. And that's when we come in, actually, our role. So this is a famous quote from Bill. It says, "At best, philanthropy takes risks that governments can't and corporations won't." So it shows the sweet spot of what a foundation does. Because it's to do good. We're not trying to make money. It's a sweet spot. In some cases, the government will not step into those areas. This is the last slide on the foundation. So basically, what does this has operational numbers. This is again from 2023. Almost 2,400 different grants, and across 135 countries, 44 program strategies. So that's between the 6 divisions. These are the different teams that align up to those strategies, and then the $7.75 billion. Got about 2,000 employees across the world, with about 1,600 to 1,700 in the US. All right, so with all this work, think about 44 program teams bringing in data. Most of the teams do work with data, a large portion. And then there's the global studies like IHME with the University of Washington, these and DHS. These are public data sets that we bring in as well to support our work and also to identify what are the most critical areas of support. So that's where the data actually becomes a need. And part of the challenge is the disparate types of data that we bring into the foundation. It's not easy. Each team will work with different partners. So I think looking at the corporate experience I've had, it's more challenging than corporate, because in corporate, it'll be like 6, 10, business divisions. Here you have 44 teams who are working with about 2,000 partners from different parts of the world. And if you take of some partner in Africa, they're not going to have access to Snowflake or Databricks, right? So in some cases, the data comes to us in Excel. So it just creates a different level of challenge that you don't see in corporate. So when we started this journey, one of the things we did was to start looking at what are the pain points? Because I think when you're doing data strategy, you don't want to kind of go and prescribe a solution that you think is right. So it's important to really understand how does the users feel and what are the challenges. So I'm not going to go through each one, but we saw challenges around inconsistent handling of data. There wasn't an easy way to share data externally. And also access management was a challenge. And the data wasn't discoverable, because think about 44 teams, and also there's the operational teams as well. One team would not know where the data resides and to find it. So there was a little bit of duplication as well. So as we are looking to get more efficient, it was really important to bring in the data, make it like discoverable, and really kind of democratize the data within the foundation. So this is the notion under which we started this work. So with that, we actually came up with what would be the vision for a data strategy for the foundation. So while we started the platform work that you would see on the left side, the overarching work is around data strategy, and then there's a data governance as well. So this we see is almost as a triangle. So you have the overall strategy, then you have the governance piece, and also the platform capabilities. So with that in mind, the executive leadership team, as we call ELT within the foundation, they set up a cross-functional, both across program and operations leadership team to drive data within the foundation. And then, of course, as the technology team, we will be actually developing the platform and the services that's needed. So you can see that it goes beyond the platform. Platform is only one part of the solution. You need to have the vision for the data strategy, what you need to do, and also you need a governance framework as well. So these are the 3 core components of the work we are doing.
Well, thank you, Dushan. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Well, Avinash and Avanade, they sound very familiar, right? Almost rhyming. But again, I'm Avinash Gupta. I manage the data platforms, governance, and data privacy at the foundation. I'll start with AI that is ready for business, start with data that is ready for AI. I don't know how many of you attended a session yesterday. There was a session on building data and AI culture. And one of the speakers was speaking about how companies are hiring a lot of data scientists, AI engineers, which is all good. But it's also very important to continue investing in data infrastructure and data engineering. Because without good data, you cannot have good AI. So again, even today, when Jamie Dimon was speaking in his keynote, he said data is hard. That statement is very important, because getting all good quality data into a centralized platform is hard. Without good data, you cannot really get insights from your AI applications or AI use cases. So again, this is why we are building this centralized data platform. And this data strategy that Dushan talked about is feeding into what's high priority for our business. What are some of the use cases we need to start building onto this data platform? So that data strategy is informing building this centralized data platform, what we call EDP, Enterprise Data Platform. I don't know how many of you are keeping touch with the news. The foundation recently announced we have a 20-year horizon. Bill Gates actually did that announcement, I would say a month ago or so. And for that, we'll be giving out $200 billion in the next 20 years. So by 2045, the foundation will be giving grants worth $200 billion for the causes we stand for. What does that mean? That means there's an increased appetite for data within the foundation. How will they make some of those decisions? Where do we give grants? How this data is going to be used for the causes we stand for? So again, data and AI is going to accelerate our impact of how we do work in future. It's also important to bring down our operational expenses. There's a lot of redundant solutions, which is the data solutions within the foundation. So there's an opportunity as we build out this enterprise data platform to basically use this platform and be able to eventually deprecate these bespoke solutions that some of the 44 programmatic teams are using. We again work globally, like Dushan showed the map. Again, we need to comply with the global, in the regions we work in, we need to comply with those policies and guidelines. Data enablement strategy, again, is going to drive that Dushan mentioned, data governance, some of the data stewardship, whether it is data stewardship within the programmatic teams, the 44 teams, or the operational teams. At the same time, in this centralized platform, we are building security from ground up. It's not an afterthought. We are building the security from ground up as well as building those controls, both security and legal controls. Vision for the enterprise data platform. Look at the 3 circles. Again, the first circle is search and discover. We are going to make the data discoverable. Again, we get data globally from all of our regional offices and the countries where we do the work, right? So it's very important to be able, for our users to be able to find that data easily. So again, search and discover is a very critical component of enterprise data platform. How are we accomplishing it? We are building a lightweight application called Data Portal for our users to be able to come to Data Portal and interact with the data platform, be able to find data through our catalog. Collaborative workspaces, this is exactly where Databricks fits in, right? For data science, scientists, where they'll use notebooks, whether it's SQL or Python or Scala, they'll use these notebooks to do modeling as well as do data exploration. Eventually, we want to support bring your own tool, but our standard tools are listed there, Power BI, VS Code, Excel, and again, we want to support bring your own tool, bring your own device and hook onto the platform to do your analytics. Not all data is stored within the platform. It's very important to understand. For example, what data is not stored in the centralized platform will be active clinical trial data, for example. That will be hosted in the external platforms. So EDP will still catalog that external data, which is not necessarily in the foundation, and make it available for our users to search and discover through our centralized catalog. How will EDP accelerate the impact? So there are 8 bubbles out there, 8 methods. Again reinforcing, this is a one place to store all your data, programmatic as well as operational. One of the features we also built is where external partners, grantee or a vendor, is able to upload data into our enterprise data platform through a secured, governed method through Data Portal. We also will store some of the common data sets like Invest. Invest is our Salesforce platform, which is used for grant making. We call it Invest. IHME, which is Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation. DHS, which is again demographic and health survey data. So again, these are the common data sets which are available for our programmatic users. This will be located with the other funded data sets. Funded data sets are really data which is generated from our programmatic work that we do globally. And the operational data, the programmatic data, and the common data sets will be hosted within this enterprise data platform. The data scientists, researchers will be using, like I said earlier, Databricks, using R, Python, SQL, or any other methods, any other tool they bring in to do their analysis. One of the core key tenet of this platform is to be able to share data. We share data with our external grantees, vendors, or partners. Again, a lot of this data sharing will be enabled either via Data Portal, and again, we have both Databricks and Snowflake. We'll be leveraging those capabilities as well to be able to share data, Databricks being our, and I'll go into the architecture slide, more bronze and silver layer, and the curated data will be in Snowflake, which is the gold layer. like I said, we work globally. So we have data sharing agreements with our external partners. Again, we use those data sharing agreements to build these security and legal controls within the enterprise data platform.
So one of the things to remember is that this platform that we're talking about is both centralized and federated, because with the way we're working with the 44 teams, plus the operation teams like HR, finance, legal, contract data, we cannot force everyone to bring in that data. So we'll bring in some of it, but some of it will actually sit with them, especially for the edge cases. So now that we've actually talked about the lay of the land, how do we kind of set this up? Next slide will talk about how do we go about really identifying the needs. So you'll see at the top, from the 44 teams, we actually interviewed 26 of these teams who are heavy data users. And from that, we identified 88 different use cases of data. Think of almost like cataloging the different use cases. Now, you cannot build 88 solutions. So now we looked at like, what are the core capabilities? So then we came up with 14 use case patterns. I'm going to call it like UC patterns. So we now distilled it down to 14 use case patterns. And what you see here in the orange and the blue boxes here is actually these ones are the use case patterns that we came up with. And we started numbering them, and some of them have a sequence, because sometimes you need to build one to get into the other one. So there's a categorization of that. And then what we did was, we sat with some of the core members of the team and some of our partners, and we then scored these use cases across the opportunity. That means the impact it'll do if the solution came on place, and the effort it takes to build. So what you see here is a typical consultancy type of 2x2 to see mapping our like opportunity and effort. And then we actually call this frontier diagram internally. We actually identified this as these are the best bets. These are like no regrets work we can do. This is a no-brainer. We should be doing this work either ways. And then we'll go into strategic, and then these are more like luxuries and targeted that we'll do later. And now, is this a once and done thing? No, because this will evolve. If you now redid this 1 year from there, now there'll be some new things that will come, and some of these things will deprioritize. So the first thing is to set this framework, and this really helps us to justify when two teams come and say that I want my data, I want my use case. We have a framework rather than saying like, oh, I think this is what we could do, right? So this is what's scored, and we've shown this to leadership. Leadership has been really happy with this, and this will use as a continuous framework to evaluate the use cases.
It looks like a Forrester wave chart, right?
Yeah, it's exactly just like a Forrester chart. And I think if you're doing data strategy and transformation work, if you have multiple use cases, this is a really good approach to use. That way you know how to prioritize your use cases at any point. Next, we'll get into the technical stuff. So we're going to do a little bit of technical deep dive from here onwards in terms of what we're doing, and Avinash will go through some of the architecture slides as well. So this is kind of the vision for the platform. We are about 50–60% done, and the rest of it is coming through. But if you look at the left, we start with the different data sources. We have internal data, which is both the programmatic and operational data sets. Then you also have the external data sets, the ones that Avinash talked about, IHME, DHS. There's a lot of surveys that sometimes we would actually purchase, and we bring in to help identify the areas that we need to work on. And then there's also the funded data. So if you look at the platform, if you really think about it, there's multiple layers. So at the top layer, what we have is more of a consumption layer. It's a visualization and analytics, so it's obviously Power BI and Fabric that's out there. Then you also have the core components of the platform. This is built on Azure. Obviously, we are a Microsoft first company or enterprise. And then we'll have components like both Snowflake and Databricks there. Right now, we're actually a little bit heavy on the Databricks, and we cannot get to Snowflake in the next few months. And then we'll also bring in some of the SharePoint and some of the OneDrive data as well, because a big part of what the foundation does, every grant is a document. It's a little different from corporate because a document is written, and then there's a lot of unstructured data because of that. While you have the data sets, then you also have the unstructured data. And then you get into the other components like the AI solutions that I want to go through one by one. We also, part of our team is also the knowledge management, which means we need to maintain a taxonomy. So we're using Semaphore taxonomy, and we're going to bring in Neo4j for the knowledge graphs. This will help us to augment the work that we are doing, using dbt for like data transformation. So you almost need to have the different ensemble of tools to do. And you build around like Azure, Snowflake, and Databricks, but then you have these other tools to kind of really complete our work. And on the right side, we have some of the solutions that we would be bringing on. The ones in blue are actually our already done and active, and what's at the bottom is more the planned activities. Next, Avinash will deep dive into a little bit on the architecture side.
So now for the fun slides, guys, right? This is fun stuff, right? So again, this is a conceptual architecture. This is not necessarily the detailed architecture. Again, we are using Databricks as our lakehouse for bronze and silver layer for data, again, for data scientists, data exploration. We are going to classify this data as the data is ingested into Databricks using Databricks AI query or auto-classification methods while ingesting data. So again, it's not only about identifying PII or SPII or PHI, but it's also about custom classification rules. For example, is this data for this geography or this region versus being able to classify, put it in those buckets is important for people to be able to discover and get more insights from that data. Again, data will be ingested, again, like through Data Portal, which is, again, our self-service portal for not just internal, but even external users. They can upload data sets into our platform. Again, it will still go through data classification and desensitizing as applicable. Data will also come through data pipelines and APIs, where internal and external both through REST APIs. Snowflake is our gold layer for the curated data. dbt Cloud, we are using primarily to do ELT into Snowflake. And again, Collibra is our centralized data catalog and governance tool. You also see streaming. We don't necessarily have streaming use cases yet, but in future, we will support Kafka endpoints of Event Grid to be able to stream data in future. This is the data portal architecture. Again, it's a lightweight application. Looking at the diagram, it may look complex, but it's not that complex. But again, it's all about, it's a lightweight application built on C#, .NET, on Azure, natively built on Azure. It's really for, again, discovery, allowing our users to discover data, what's in ADP, and also what's outside of ADP, right? Like I said, ADP is not going to host all the data. There'll be external data platforms, for example, clinical trials, active clinical trials. We are not going to store it within ADP. We're going to store it outside. We'll still catalog that within ADP. So again, the goal of the data portal is to be able to allow users to do search, upload, and even download data when it makes sense. We are using Azure AI Search for our the search. The search actually runs on a catalog. So if you look at this picture, sorry, I cannot point, I don't have a pointer, but again, the data portal, there is a pointer? Oh, shoot, high tech. Pretty high tech, right? Oh, there you go.
Red button. Yeah.
So as part of the data portal, so again, this is AI Search. There is a SQL MI database, a backend for the data portal. Again, like I said, data portal is C# .NET. And there is an integration with Unity Catalog, actually, with the data portal as well as with Collibra. So it's a two-way integration. So the metadata is actually stored in the SQL MI database. That's what powers the search through Azure AI Search. So the search actually looks at the indexes stored within the SQL MI database, right? And Collibra is our centralized data catalog. So why do we have this integration? Because, like I said, Collibra will also catalog external data assets, which are not necessarily in data portal through REST APIs. So we are using REST APIs of Collibra. This will catalog external data sources, for example, clinical trial data, which are not necessarily stored in the platform. We want to enable users to see what's available, not just within the platform, but outside the platform as well. And it will provide the guidance on how to get access to those external platforms. In some cases, we may be able to do those integrations, but that's still work in progress. So again, there's a three-way integration between Collibra, the SQL MI database, and Unity Catalog. Azure, so again, I already spoke most of it. Yeah. Next slide.
Thank you, Avinash. So with all of this, yes, it's all technology. It's the different types of technology that we brought together. But what's the hardest part of doing this kind of thing? Is it the technology? It's people. It's people and process. So as we wrap this up, we want to focus a little bit about some of the challenges we're facing and how do you overcome it. So it's beyond technology, as I said, right? So this is technology is the easiest part. If you have the right skill set, you can bring in the right solutions and put it together. Architecting this is not that hard. Getting the adoption, getting the buy-in, these are the hardest things to do in any data transformation when you actually lead in a large organization. So the first piece is around leadership buy-in. How do you go and make the case to say that so you can come up with the vision, but the leadership has to buy into vision. So part of the vision, when we came up with the vision for EDP, there was some tech debt. There's some capabilities that the foundation wanted to do, but there wasn't a clear solution to do. So we took that approach. Okay, these things, especially external data sharing, this is something that we can easily do. 6 months to 12 months, we can build the solution. And that's done now. And that helps to leapfrog from where we are today. And that's one of the ways that you cannot get the leadership buy-in. And then the second thing is, as you saw in that Forrester wave chart type of diagram, you build it based on user needs. You don't want to build based on what you think you need, the rest of the users need. That's a classic way to end in a recipe of disaster, because you build something and the people don't want to come and use it. And you spend several $1 million to realize that you've gone down the wrong path. Then, of course, any time that you can actually drive efficiencies, reduce duplication, any CFO is going to like, and you're going to support, right? Okay, let me put in the couple of million that you need to build in if you can actually cut down the cost and bring efficiencies in the organization. That really helped us to make the case for funding. And then it's really important to do incremental wins. You don't want to wait for 2 years until you release something. You start delivering on a couple of use cases, and you build trust, and then you get more engagement. Then the next part of the challenge is building the team. Now, let's say you design this wonderful solution, but your team may not have that skill set right now. You cannot make the team experts in Databricks and Snowflake and dbt and everything else overnight. So what do? So you have to carefully hire the remaining few headcount that you have, and then you need to kind of augment with contingent workers with a proper plan to do knowledge transfers, training. And that's a journey by itself, because now you have people who are used to working, let's say, on SQL Server on-prem, and now you're telling that person, go do Terraform, go do this in Databricks. And if you've done that for 20 years, that's a hard change for that person. You cannot change that person overnight. So this is part of the challenge as well, how you gradually bring people along. First, even the team has to buy into the vision. And then you need to train them to support them. And this is a big part of the success. You cannot just turn this around just because you have the leadership buy-in and you have the dollars to do the solution. So upskilling the team. And every time you expand the team, that does create some disruption, because you actually have some challenges on roles and responsibilities. Or now the team initially was, let's say you're building let's say the data portal, let's say it was 8 people. Now you bring in 2 more people. Now who's doing what, right? So you need that clarity on alignment and roles and responsibilities, and that's the ongoing challenge we have. And if you don't resolve that properly, you will actually have a detriment to your work. You will actually slow down your progress as well. Then the last piece here is like around end users and change management. So let's say you manage your team, you get leadership buy-in. You also need the end users to come and use this platform and adopt the platform. So that's the third challenge. So one of the things is a lot of folks are focused on AI. But without data in a centralized place or discoverable, you're going to be limited with what you can achieve in AI. So it takes a while to get that realization. The second thing is to address pain points of end users. Now, if you can say that I can solve your problem with this solution, then they're more likely to come and actually adopt the solution. You need to influence, right? You need to talk through, right? Okay, let's understand the journey. You actually have to do 10 steps to do this. Maybe I can get you to do this in 5 steps at a shorter time. And then people listen to you and say, okay, let me come and work with you. So these are part of the strategies we do. We go to some of the all hands of teams and we speak of what we can do. So it's almost like influencing larger groups, getting people to buy in. It's not that easy. And then you also need to get some of the newer folks to kind of or the folks to get used to the new data capability. So even we have end users who use SQL and some of the other areas. Now you suddenly say that, oh, Databricks, do I need to learn another tool? So that's another chance that we actually run into some resistance as well. So one of our winning formulas has been we've actually got pilot teams who actually have been willing to adapt. So think of the early adopters who wants to really kind of take on the technology. Maybe they are people who've been strapped for resources. They haven't had the solution. They're like, we'll come and work with you. They become our change agents. It's so much more powerful when a customer of yours goes and tells a success story to say that, oh, I worked with that team. They brought us a solution that works. So they almost start evangelizing your solution. So these are some of the work that we've done to expand the work and to kind of move things forward. We are probably about halfway through. We've got a long way to go. I think we've got a few years of work here to kind of get it fully adopted in the foundation. But it does actually evolve with several challenges. So we've covered the rest of the material. I want to kind of end here with before I call Bryce here, with a quote that we use in the foundation. This is an old African proverb. This is about kind of working together. So if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.